What is up, you guys? So as you already know, SUVs are starting to become the norm here in America. You have companies like Ford who are completely getting rid of all their sedans in favor of just making SUVs and trucks because that is what America is buying all the time. Same thing goes with a lot of import brands. They're starting to make a lot more SUVs, and today I have one brand that was known for making some of the best cars on the road that has unfortunately gone the route of making nothing but SUVs. So today I have the all-new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, and today we're going to find out if it justifies its over $30,000 price tag. All right, so first of all, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. I post new car content every single week, so if you like cars and you like the first person perspective of looking at a car, really getting in depth and getting to see it as if you were here with me, that is the entire goal of my channel, is just to make an immersive video as if you were right there filming the car with me. But yeah, be sure to click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and be sure to give this video a like if you guys enjoyed it. Now, starting with the color, this is called Alloy Silver Metallic. Now, it's a pretty decent looking silver color. I mean, silver pretty much looks the same across the board with most vehicles. There are a few exceptions, but as you can see, it has a ton of flake in the paint. It's really nice. Now, coming to the front end of the new Eclipse Cross, sorry about my shadow, by the way, but it has the same Mitsubishi look that we've come to know over the past few years. So for example, the Outlander, Outlander Sport, they basically have the same design. This one is going to be slightly unique because this is a brand new vehicle. So you're going to have chrome bits coming right here. You are going to have LED lights. You're going to have LED strips coming right here. So you do have a daytime running light that is going to be LED. Looks very nice. Now coming to the middle, you're going to have this gloss black, of course, your Mitsubishi symbol right there in the middle. This is a turbocharged motor, so you are going to have your intercooler right down there. Your fog lights are going to be LEDs as well. The hood is pretty simple. You just have the lines are going to really flow with the vehicle, and it's going to go right into the grille just like that. And then this line is going to follow through all the way right here in the hood. And you're gonna have this new line that's gonna come here, start there, and then sort of flow all the way down to the back. Now, it is a very sharply styled vehicle. Now, not to say that it looks good. It definitely has a funky design to it. It's definitely different. It's definitely unique. You can definitely tell it is a Mitsubishi just from the front at least. Now coming off to the side and to the back, it does look a little bit more Pontiac Aztec in a way, especially the rear. Now the rear definitely reminds me of the older Pontiac Aztec. You have that same sort of double window design, if you guys can see that there. It almost looks kind of Volvo right here, but when you get to the back, it doesn't have that same Volvo look just from the side. Now it's cool because you can actually see through both of these windows when you're looking through your rearview mirror, but it's neat how they were able to black that one out. Now this light is going to be LED. You're going to have LEDs here, so at night, you're going to be able to have this really nice LED strip that's gonna run all through the middle of the window right here. Mitsubishi symbol in the back. Eclipse Cross. This has the super all-wheel control on here as well. And of course, this is the SEL trim. So this is the top of the line trim for this new vehicle. And once again, that is a super thick line right there. I know it's kind of random, but let me show you guys how thick this line is. It is crazy. So definitely a very prominent thing. I mean, that's probably the first thing you notice about this car is when you see it in person, it's got this really just thick line running through there. Now, as far as the wheels, these are 18-inch two-tone alloy wheels, wrapped in Bridgestone tires. You are going to have some rails here on the top. So if you needed to put roof racks or anything like that on top, you are able to do that. Comes standard with the vehicle. And you have sort of like a mini spoiler here as well. All right, so getting inside of the Eclipse Cross is very, very easy. Here is your key. It's going to come standard with your Mitsubishi. It's a very basic key, as you guys can see here. Nothing super special about it. You have your lock, your unlock. You have a blank button here, your panic button, and then on the back you're going to have your Mitsubishi symbol. And you have a little tab here. You pull that, and there's a key right there that comes out. So if the battery on the key dies, or if the battery on the car were to die, you can still get into the vehicle, get your belongings out. But you can unlock it with the key, or you have a smart keyless access system. So it's just this black button here on the door. So the vehicle's unlocked right now. If I push this button, mirrors are gonna fold in. And if I push it again, mirrors will fold out, and it'll beep twice, indicating that it is unlocked. So now black is going to be the only color option on the interior of the new Eclipse Cross. Definitely not a bad looking interior. Now coming over to the door, you're going to have pretty decent use of materials. You have soft touch here, soft touch. A little bit harder up here, but it still has some give to it. Piano black over here, right around your housing for your door handle. This sort of fake, not satin, it's like a satin silver coming right here, but it is going to be plastic. Your mirror controls, you push this button to fold your mirrors in. Window controls, door locks, sort of like a faux carbon fiber coming through here. Really good storage space in the door pockets. Eclipse Cross branded floor mats, standard pedals, all your seat adjustments. Now the seats do have this like orange contrast stitching on them. You guys can see that there. Now the leather, it feels like fake leather. I'm pretty sure it's real leather, but it just feels like fake quality leather. It doesn't have a good quality feel to it. It just sort of looks and feels cheap to the touch. I know that's super random and it may sound really petty, but if I didn't mention it already, the MSRP of this vehicle is over $32,000. I have the actual MSRP of my tester here on the screen. You guys can take a look at it. But yeah, that's a lot of money for something that feels like fake leather. But let's go ahead and hop inside and check out the rest of the interior. All right, so since it is keyless start, all you have to do is put your foot on the brake, and then your start button is going to be right there, and you're going to push that to start. Nice. So, starting with the steering wheel, decent quality leather on the steering wheel. It has a pretty decent grain to it. So you guys can see the sunlight hitting it there. You can really see that grain. It's actually pretty nice. You have some stitching right here through the middle. You're gonna have some piano black coming all along the bottom here. It looks really nice. So your camera button, so I do like this. You push this button here and your camera's gonna come up. It's gonna show you your 360 camera, your backup camera, and it's just a pretty neat thing. You push it again and it's going to show your right wheel. So when I turn the steering wheel, you can see the actual wheel turning just like that, which is pretty cool. So if you're next to a curb, it definitely comes in handy. And I like how you can access it at any time, which is great. All of your phone, Bluetooth commands, volume, previous, next, different modes, AM, FM, satellite radio, all that good stuff. You're going to have your cruise control settings all over here. You do have adaptive cruise with your distance right here. And then you're going to have your lane keep over here off to the side, along with your traction control, your basically your automatic braking right here. So if you're about to get into a collision, it'll automatically slam on the brakes for you. You can adjust the settings by pushing this button here, or you can turn it on and off there. Your interior illumination, your HUD, so you can push this to turn it off, at which point it'll go down. Or you can push it again, which will obviously turn it back on. But the cool part is I love how you have a specific up and down switch to adjust where it is. So that's a pretty nice feature. If I can see it, there we go. So that is pretty nice. I like how you can adjust that on the fly and you can do it so quickly. Now down here, you do have this adjustment. So if for whatever reason you're towing something super small with this vehicle, you do have this light here so you can adjust the height of your headlights. Or if you're on a steep incline, steep decline, anything like that, you can adjust the height of your headlights on the fly. Really, really cool. Not a lot of cars have that, as a matter of fact. Your steering wheel adjustment right here is obviously going to be telescope, and you're up and down as well. You have these aluminum paddle shifters, which look and feel great. Only issue is that they are connected to a continuously variable transmission, so they don't really do anything. You have augmented shifts, which is not very fun. I'll show you guys that later in the video. Over to the left, you have automatic lights. You're going to have automatic high beams there on the end of the stock. I do apologize also, I'm really stuffy, so if I sound like I'm just super allergy sounding, then you're probably right, because all my sinuses are acting up today. Over to the right, you have your stock here for your wipers, rear wiper here, and you're going to have an automatic function for your wipers as well. The interior, this is going to be for like your gauges right here, so you can adjust the brightness of those. Now coming to the actual gauges, they're pretty simple. Your tach over to the left, your speedometer to the right. In the middle, you have a screen that you can adjust by using these buttons way back over here. So if I hit these buttons, you guys can see it'll go through my screen. Pretty nice. Very simple, very basic. And coming over here, you're going to have softer touch plastics here. Once again, they're still hard, but they're not really hard. They have a little bit of give to them. Your Rockford Fosgate sound system, which sounds great. It's always been a really, really good sound system. You have your new tablet style screen right here in the middle with this sort of faux carbon fiber coming around the outside of it. Another speaker over there. And the system is actually pretty easy to use. I can use it as a touchscreen, or I can use this right here. Now, I have seen reviews where they say the feedback isn't very good. That is true, but you can go in and adjust the sensitivity of it. So now when I use this, if I can get them both into focus somehow, not sure if it's going to happen. Okay, here we go. Not sure if you guys can see both of these, but when I scroll, it reacts a lot faster now, which is great. It's perfectly fine for me. I mean, you can adjust it to be a little bit quicker, and now I don't have any lag, and it's great. I definitely recommend getting used to this more than the screen. So it is a little bit of a far reach, so I don't recommend touching it while you're driving. Now, coming back over here to the middle, you have all of your climate control. So you do have dual zone climate control, all your different fan speeds, modes, things like that. Heated steering wheel, your eco button. You're going to have 2 USB ports and a 12 volt right here. A little bit of storage space right back here. So if I move this out of the way, you can see there's some storage space right back there. Now your shifter is pretty decent. You have some leather here. You have this plasticky silver part right there. You push that into reverse. Once again, your backup camera is going to come up with your 360 camera as well. And you do have parking sensors right there in the back, and the lines turn with your steering wheel. Put it into park, that's going to go right away. Heated seats for both passengers up front, high and low. Your all-wheel drive, so your super all-wheel control right here. So if I push that, it's going to take me to 3 different settings, which are snow, gravel, and auto. And that's really the only settings you have. You don't have any kind of like a sports setting or anything like that. Home, back, audio, and apps if you want to click the button instead of having to scroll through and find them. Electronic parking brake, auto hold, so you put your foot on the brake, it'll hold the brake for you, and then it won't go until you tap the gas, and then it will go from there. Cup holders, so pretty decent cup holder area. I couldn't see it hitting anything really. Unfortunately, I haven't been out this week because I've been sort of under the weather, but I'm pretty sure 2 drinks, medium-sized drinks, large drinks, bottles of water could fit in there, no issue. Though this may get in the way if you have something with sort of a wide lid in this cup holder right here. More orange stitching, softly padded leather. You lift that up. You actually have a decent amount of storage space here. You have 2 divots here as well. So if you have plugs in here, you can pass them through. But the funny part about that, you guys are going to laugh when I tell you this, there's nothing to plug into inside of here. So I'm not sure why you have like a divot here. You have one here. You've got one there and one there, and there's not even anything that would require it to like fit into there. It's usually for wires, but there's nothing to plug into. You would have to plug in all the way up here, right way up there, and then stretch it all the way back into here, which seems like sort of a waste, but that is the way Mitsubishi has it set up. I'm gonna throw this stuff back in here. Decent storage space over here. Now coming up, you do at least have your home link, your auto dimming mirror. Now the lights on here are not going to be LEDs, unfortunately, so you don't have LED lights, but you do have two screens up here. So I'm closing this one, but I have a separate one for the back, which is kind of a cool feature. You don't really see that a lot in this class of vehicle, so I do like that you have your own little moonroof back there. It's pretty neat. Card holder right there. Yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the front seat. The only thing I didn't mention was you do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on here as well. I would suggest using that for your navigation because this does not have its own navigation system. You have to use whatever you have on your phone, whether that's Apple Maps, Google Maps, or Waze. But let's go ahead and hop in the back seat and check out the room. All right, so hopping into the back seat of the Eclipse Cross, basically the same setup as the front. Obviously everything's a little bit smaller and you only have a bottle holder here in the back. Now climbing in, I'm 6 feet tall. I have the front seat set to my driving position and my legroom is pretty decent. I have about, what is that, maybe 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches of legroom, so it's not a ton. Now one thing is you do have a bar under here which I can use to scoot the seat forwards and backwards. The only issue is that it's all the way back, so I can scoot it forward, which I definitely would not want, but that is about as far back as it goes. You have heated seats back here for both outboard passengers. You have two settings. Going to have a 12 volt down there, of course map pockets behind each seat. Now my feet room is pretty good. Forgive the fact that my socks are showing and my pants are high watering, but my feet fit under here very, very well. I've got plenty of space, no issues. Now as far as the seat quality, the leather quality is pretty good back here. You do have sort of a low roof line, but you can see here you have a little divot that your head can sort of fit in if you're a little bit on the taller side. Now I'm 6 feet tall. I'm gonna turn this camera around so you guys can see me. So I'm 6 feet tall, I have big hair too, so that's about where I'm gonna be. So yeah, pretty decent. The seats do recline, I believe. Let me double check. Maybe, yes, they do. So there is a tab right back here, and I'm gonna pull that tab, and that should recline me back, so if I can reach it. So I guess it's reclined all the way back. So this is all the way back, and this is how much headroom I have. And yeah, pretty decent. One other thing is you do have cup holders back here, but the weird part is when you recline back, they sort of, let me hop out so you guys can see, the cup holders sort of go up like at an angle, which is kind of odd. So once you put the seat back upright, I'll show you guys this. Then they go back to their normal position. That's pretty hilarious. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the back seat. Once again, it is cool that you do have that this little control here for your own moonroof. And basically, it definitely lightens things up, doesn't make it feel as dark back here. And as always in the back seat, you get a nice view of the front. So I'll give you guys another view of the front from the back seat perspective. And yeah, so let's go ahead and check out the trunk space. Now for the trunk of the Eclipse Cross, you don't have an automatic tailgate, so you do have to push the button under here. You're gonna lift that up. It is hydraulic assisted, and you have a pretty decent amount of space. I do have the square footage here on the screen if you guys wanna take a look at that. yeah, you have an interior light right over here. Have my tripod back here. You have a sub back here as well. It is a pretty bumping sub, so if you like to blast your music, it's definitely pretty good for that. This thing, however, is kind of flimsy. It is your cargo cover, but it's really weird to get it positioned just right. And then when it is positioned just right, it's kind of, yeah, not the worst, but at least it comes with one, which is a plus. So you don't really have to pay extra for it like you do as like an accessory. It comes on this trim as standard. Now, lifting up the bottom here, you do have a spare, which is great, especially since most vehicles are going away from a spare. Now you even have little areas here off to the sides. You can probably put something small, like maybe a half a gallon of milk or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it up. Once again, it is manual, you don't have a button. And we'll go ahead and check out what's underneath the hood. First of all, let me just point out that it is a gorgeous day-to-day here in Texas. But under the hood of the Eclipse Cross, you're going to have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's going to make 152 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. Now those numbers are pretty low. They're definitely not the highest in the segment. The bad part about it is that it is hooked up to a continuously variable transmission. Now, for those of you that like CVTs, I'm not saying it's a bad thing because it's hooked up to a CVT. I feel like it's a bad thing because it's hooked up to a CVT, you have a turbocharger, not very much horsepower, and you're not getting the best fuel economy. You're getting 25 miles per gallon on the highway. That is not a lot of MPG, especially for a smallish crossover like this is. I mean, granted, it is all-wheel drive, but still, with those numbers, with this small of an engine, I feel like, and especially paired with a CVT, I feel like you should be getting a lot more fuel economy than this thing is getting. Now, it does have 8 simulated gears, so when you're driving and you want to use the paddle shifters, it does have 8 gears that are sort of quote-unquote fake gears that are augmented to make it feel like you're sort of shifting. But yeah, it's a pretty decent engine setup. Hopefully in the future they'll be able to come out with a higher horsepower version or something that has a little bit more get up and go. But as is, let's go ahead and get this thing on the road and see how it does. Hey everyone, so I'm behind the wheel obviously of the new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Now, how do I feel about this vehicle? Well, first of all, it's not that exciting. I wanted it to be a lot better than it is. To be super honest with you guys, I've had this car for a week. Not a very big fan of it. Now, there are a few reasons for that. Don't get me wrong, it's a great car. It really is. I just feel like for the asking price of $32,000, it's a little steep for what you're getting. You know, the visibility is great, I will admit. So the visibility is great. You have great big mirrors, which help, and you have blind spot monitoring on top of having big mirrors, so blind spots really aren't an issue. Looking out of the rear view mirror, you have this little line that goes through the middle of the glass, but it's not that big of an issue. Believe it or not, I still have really good visibility out the back. My blind spots, I do have a pretty big one right over here, so you guys can see that, and my view over the road is slightly more of like a commanding view. But yeah, $32,000 for a Mitsubishi crossover that's not really that exciting to drive. Now, I will say that with competition like the CR-V, the CX-5, the RAV4, I mean, it's really hard to justify buying this over those vehicles. Now, of course, you do have all-wheel drive on this one, the super all-wheel control, and it does a pretty good job. So coming out of this corner, it does a fine job. The motor isn't that great. You can't even tell it's turbocharged. You would never guess this was a turbocharged car. It just doesn't have any sort of pull to it, and especially paired with the continuously variable transmission, it just feels very sluggish, very lazy. You have these paddles on here, but if I switch it into the paddle shifting mode, it's all simulated. It's all simulated gears. The brakes are pretty good. They're a little mushy at the top, but then once you get past this initial weird pedal travel, they work very well. The infotainment system is decent. I actually was able to tune this pad here, like I showed you guys earlier. You can adjust the way it reacts or the reaction time. So it's a little bit better, but it's still not as good as I would want it to be. Having knobs, there's definitely never going to be a replacement for having good old-fashioned knobs, especially not having a volume knob. That's been the most annoying thing about this car. I can't just reach up and turn the volume down. Guys, I'm 6 feet tall. This is a far reach for me. I mean, I have to really stretch my arms out, and then if you don't always hit it on the right spot, so if I'm hitting it a little further to the right, you guys can see it's not doing anything, and then I finally hit it and it turns up, and it's annoying. So you have to get used to using it on the steering wheel. And even so, let's say if you have the volume at like 20, you have to hold it down, wait for it to turn down instead of just cranking it all the way or hitting a mute button. I still have not found a way to actually just mute this thing. I'm pretty sure it does not have a mute button. Once again, slightly frustrating. The car kind of struggles to get out of its own way, and yeah, I don't know. I just haven't been super sold on this vehicle, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they renamed it Eclipse Cross. I don't care about that. All I care about is the mechanics and how this vehicle feels when I'm behind the wheel of it. And when I'm behind the wheel of this thing, I feel like I'd rather be driving a CR-V or a CX-5, just anything other than this, really. I can always tell how a vehicle is when I have it for a week as my press car, and if I'm gonna miss it on Monday when they pick it up, then I know it was a pretty good car. But if halfway through the week I'm like, man, I can't wait till next week to get whatever I have coming up next, that's how I know it's not a very good car. And I felt that way about this car after having it for just 3 days. I was like, man, I'm ready for the next vehicle. Like, this was cool the first day, it was kind of cool the second day, but the third day I was completely over it, and it just wasn't very exciting to drive. But like I said, if you want something that has a solid warranty, that is probably the #1 factor of why you would buy this vehicle. Now, on top of that, you have a decent amount of safety features. So you're going to have your adaptive cruise control. Now, you don't have any kind of lane keep. I'm sorry, you do have lane keep. I take that back. But it doesn't put you back into your lane. It'll just alert you when you get outside of your lane, so it doesn't pull you back in. As far as I know, the adaptive cruise control won't come to a complete stop. You guys can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on there. It's just when I did it in my testing, it didn't come to a complete stop. Now, either that was a glitch in the system or I didn't have something set up right, but when I did it, it didn't come to a complete stop. I don't know what that was about. The other thing is the Rockford Fosgate sound system is actually pretty decent. I believe it's like a 710 watt sound system. It's pretty good. You do have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you do have heated steering wheel. You've got a lot of, luxury features, heated seats. Yeah, just tons of great stuff. So you do have lots of positives about this vehicle. It's just, man, in terms of the experience of just the way you feel when you're behind the wheel, everything else about this car can be great, but once you get behind the wheel of it, it's just a drag to drive, guys. I'm so sorry. It's just, if they were to somehow enhance the experience behind the wheel, it would be so much better. Now, passing acceleration isn't very good. Neither is off-the-line acceleration, really. So, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys how quickly this will accelerate to 60. So I'm going to pull over right here. Brake, gas, 2,500 RPMs. Halfway there. 60. Yeah, it's not very quick. You're definitely not getting speeding tickets on this thing. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, once again, comment below what you think about the Eclipse Cross. Also, if you're spending $32,000, which of the crossovers would you go for? Would you go for the CX-5, the Eclipse Cross, the RAV4, whether that be the 2018 or the new 2019, or would you go for the Honda CR-V? Leave your comment below and let me know why you chose the vehicle that you did. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you already haven't. I upload new videos every single week. Y'all take care, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.